Hello, 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 and welcome to the Bridges and Beacons podcast. I'm your host, Kelly Meyerson, and I'm excited about the topic we're going to be covering today because I'm obsessed with public speaking. And my guest is probably one of the best people to talk about. So, my guest today, Leisa Reid, is the founder of Get Speaking Gigs Now and the CEO of the International Speaker Network. With over 600 speaking engagements to her name, Leisa teaches entrepreneurs how to use public speaking as a soul filling marketing strategy to grow their business and amplify their impact. Leisa, thank you so much for joining me. I'm really happy to have you here.
Me too. I'm so excited.
Yes. I mean, I know that the public speaking bug definitely hit me in college when, I had to take the public speaking class and I don't think I recognized that I was so interested in it until I took it and I recognized that people around me were like, this is terrifying. And I was like, are you kidding me? This is amazing. So, where did the bug start for you? When did you start getting into public speaking?
Well, I can relate to what you said, and I think it's like the drug-free drug. If you like it, you want more of it, and you could do it forever and not even be hungry. So it's really a very addicting in a good way type of activity. How did I start? I feel like I also took that public speaking class, and ironically, it's not my favorite because you have to really fit into the model of what they want you to speak about, which isn't my favorite thing. But I always was comfortable being a teacher. I remember even when I was a little kid, I was like, oh, I'll be a gymnastics teacher, I'll be a kindergarten teacher. Like I would see the teacher that I was experiencing and I thought, oh, I could teach everybody this thing. And so often I'll say I'm a teacher disguised as a speaker more than like a speaker that needs to have all the attention or needs to be in the spotlight. It's not about that for me. Sure, it probably is for some people, but it's more about the transformation. And like I can break down things really easily, and I am funny, and I can make it fun, and I can make it organized. And gosh darn it, people like me. I just, a little SNL joke for anyone who's in the child of the 80s.
Yes,
So.
ma'am. I love that. I can definitely relate because I think it's one of my favorite things. As part of my job as a therapist, we get to do trainings all the time. Continuing education is super important. And I love to get up there and really, I think the word you use that I love the most is transformation. And we have a topic, we have something we want to cover, we want to bring everybody's skills up to a certain level. But I think that other piece of really creating this opportunity to change somebody's mind or change their heart or give them something they didn't have before, a perspective, a skill, and have them leave feeling like something happened and feel energized, feel good about it. So I love that so much. I think that's really valid. And I too loved the teaching piece of things as a kid. I would like take the extra dittos from the teacher so I could go home and like teach the kids in the neighborhood.
Okay, I haven't heard the word ditto in a really, really long time in that context, but that brings back memories. That kind of bluish
Yes,
ink,
yes.
bluish purplish ink. That's so funny. Yeah, and I can relate to what you're saying about the transformation because when you're the speaker, people can not only hear you if they're, especially if they're audio listeners, they can see you, but they also feel you. And that translates silently, right? It's like, oh, that's why sometimes we're compelled to lean in and maybe buy something or hire someone or go to the next step. And then sometimes we're repelled. We're like, oh, no, that's not my cup of tea at all. But we can't maybe put our finger on it. It's not that they said the exact right words or we're a perfect, and I say this because a lot of times people get trapped in that, trap of perfection. Like there's no perfect thing, but it's like, are you communicating to the people who need to hear you the most? And that to me is very exciting.
Agreed. I think the word you also used was addiction. And yeah, I feel that so much. The amount of energy that I feel personally after I've given a presentation is just like it's so energy giving. It's not energy taking for me. And
Agree.
I know a lot of people that aren't so into public speaking find it completely draining. Like it just, they have to work so hard. Their body feels tired after. Any thoughts on why that happens? Like why some people kind of feel like it gives them something and some it takes away?
I think if you are in a situation where you're not volunteering to speak, that might be the case where, like, I'm working with a client right now. She was in corporate in very large companies over, the last few decades, and she would rise up so much in the corporation that, of course, she would need to address hundreds of people publicly, and just hated it. Just really would get herself in a ball of nerves and even step down from a couple of those positions because of that incredible sense of panic and nervousness. But here she was, has all this knowledge to share. And so we're working through for her, like, and she really wants to speak. Now it's funny. So like she's coming back. She's like, no, I want to do this. So for her, that's part of the journey of like, how do we unravel that and be in a position where she can do the thing that she knows she's really good at and that she knows she wants to do. I don't work a lot with people who are, deathly afraid of it or anything like that. It's really like it's not for everybody. And that's totally okay. Not everything's for everybody. Therapy is not for everybody, right? So but you want the people who are like, I've heard about this thing. I think I would probably benefit. And that's who I usually work with.
Yeah, I think that's so important. And it made me think too, sometimes when you have speaking engagements, you may not be speaking to the audience that you prefer to speak to,
Mhm.
right? So could it be sometimes that the people that we're asked to speak to, I mean, I've been in the situation, I'm sure you have too, where you go to give a training and have this moment with people and like come to find out that people were forced to be there to listen to you. Has that happened?
It has. I'll tell you one of the times that didn't, I would say, did not go so well was I was asked to speak at a conference after they had done their whole day and after they had done the happy hour section, and then they were kind of dragged back into the room for the final the final presentation, which was me, and they just were done. They wanted to be, and so I could have been Oprah handing out free cars. I don't know. It was not gonna. It contextually just wasn't a fit. I learned from that. I learned, let me ask where I am in the agenda and what else is going on that day. And had I known that, I definitely would have said, well, maybe we could put me up a little bit further in the time, or maybe I'm not the best. Maybe you should have like a stand-up comedian or some other kind of entertainment available for people.
Yeah. Yeah, that is a tough time. I've also found like you said, like towards the end of a day, like if you're giving the presentation, people have been in presentations all day long and you're hitting that like 2:30, 3 o'clock, like after lunch lull in
Sugar lows,
energy.
yeah.
Yes.
Sugar
That can
crash.
yeah, that definitely I found can be a challenging time. And then I feel like that's where I'm pulling in that piece of skills I have as an OT. Like, okay, now we're gonna self-regulate together. So everybody's got to get up and move their body because otherwise people start sleeping. And what do you do when people are sleeping in your presentation?
Yeah, I think I would do something similar to what you were talking about. And this is where when we're rigid as a
Mm,
speaker, it's that can be a detriment. So if you're like, well, I practiced and I've memorized my thing and it's got to go this way and I have to have this much amount of time, oh man, you're in for it because the more you can be adaptable and flexible, the better you're going to be. Same, like, and I'm even talking virtual. I'll be on a thing and maybe it's all day. Well, maybe you're just sitting there, but I can tell they're fading, before I've even gotten to share screen, before I've even come on stage, I can tell when the energy's low. And so same, I'll even have it, let's do a Zoom stretch. Let's stand up, turn around, roll the shoulders out because I know everyone's kind of frozen in Zoom. Like we're trying to, stay look in the camera and just keep our body from not moving. And versus in person, maybe you could get up or stretch or move or shift your position a little bit. So being aware of those kind of things and really embodying your message, not so that it's memorized, but so that you know where you're taking people and what are the main points and regulating your time so that you can be there for them and not worry about yourself.
Yes. Yes, 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 yes. I think that's so important. I know when people come to see you speak, they want to see you succeed,
Yeah.
right? And I think that was something that I learned and I was like, "Oh, duh, of course. Of course if I'm watching somebody, I get
You want to
nervous
learn? You,
for
yeah.
them. When you have somebody they're all red in the face, like they're stuttering, they're losing their words, like you feel for them. You want to be like, "Oh my gosh, what can we do for you? How can we help you?" And then I can't listen to your message because I'm just worried about you.
Yeah, that I've seen like someone who was a well-accomplished attorney pull up his PowerPoint and then put his back to the entire audience the whole time because he was also looking at his slides. I thought, oh no, uh-oh, oh dear, please turn around, sir. Please turn around. And then another one where there were so many words and this was slide stuff, like one of my pet peeves, but he had so many words in the tiniest font. It's like he took his whole resume and just copied and pasted onto the slide or something like that. It was very bizarre. I've seen people really take way longer than they were supposed to and even be asked to leave the stage and argue with the person from the stage saying, well, no, I need five more, I have more things I want to share, and kind of bullying from the stage. I've seen some train wrecks. Yeah, it's been bad. It's rough out there. Don't
Yeah.
do that. That's my public speaking secret. Don't do those things.
No, I think keeping your humility. Oh, sorry. I was going to say, keeping your humility is so important.
I'll speak while you gather your breath. Agreed. I think a lot of times people don't realize that when someone asks you to be on stage, that is an honor, it is a gift, it is not required, and take it as that. So I always try to honor whatever stage I'm in. Like right now, I'm on your stage technically. So I want to make sure that my message is helpful for your audience, that I'm honoring what you've built, the community that you've built, and honoring the time that we have together. And that's the same that I would do for any other stage, virtual, in person, whatever. And even if, like, sometimes I'll hear people say, well, like they told me to speak for 30 minutes, but my time's getting, I'm like, well, cut it short then, take something out, talk fast. I don't know, do something, but those are the kind of adaptability things that are going to get you asked back. It's a very small world, and your reputation, let me tell you, people talk, and you could be the best, you could be the greatest. If you gave them a headache, you're not coming back.
Yeah. I mean, and what's the phrase? Um, it's about it's never crowded in the long mile. Am I saying
Mm,
that right?
I have
But
no idea, but I
I don't
like
know
it.
if I'm pulling the right. Anyway, tell me in the comments what's the right metaphor, but it's never crowded in like that sense of the people who are willing to go the extra mile, who are willing to do a little bit more, who are willing to take the extra time to be highly prepared, have a presentation that's attractive, you
Yeah, be
know,
gracious,
be
be kind,
gracious.
be amenable, be timely, give people what they ask for. I was in a situation not too long ago with a very accomplished speaker, and she was speaking at an event I was attending. I knew the leader of the event, the person who had brought her in as a speaker, and that leader was very frustrated privately, saying, I'm reaching out. I'm not hearing anything. I don't even know if she's coming. Would you step in just in case? And I thought, oh my gosh, like this is not how we want to be showing up. It's so easy to respond and just give them what they ask for. And if you don't have that in place, have a team member of yours handle that. So people talk. So you want
Mm-hmm.
to make sure you have your ducks in a row.
Mm-hmm. And what about preparation? Do you have any advice for people in public speaking, like how to really be well prepared?
Yeah, for me, it is a little different for everyone. So when I'm working with my clients, like in the Speakers Training Academy, I'll get that question a lot. And I'm like, well, what works best for you? Let's talk about that first. Before, I mean, I can tell you how I do it, but you're going to maybe have your own way. And so part of it is like, how do you best learn? Like maybe go back to when you were in school. I was a note card kind of a kid. Like I was like, I would write, I like to write it out, and then I like to read it, then I like to say it, and then I like to see like kind of I go through layers of embodying something. Again, I'm not into memorization, but I'm into embodiment. And that means that gives you more flexibility. I've seen people try to memorize their talk, and then one thing will, someone sneezes, and then they're like, oh, I can't think of the word that sentence starts with. And the whole thing is going out the window. We don't want that. But you know your stuff. Like, your main points. You're an expert at whatever you do. So you can probably talk really eloquently about at least three things, right? That's what we're going to try to put into a 30-minute, 60-minute talk about three main points. So what can you say? And don't worry so much about getting everything exactly perfect. But I know that's not answering your question. So when it comes to preparing, I will work with someone on what I call a get your talk ready to rock session, where we figure out the title, description, learning points, call to action. Because when I'm helping someone create a talk, it's for business and client attraction, lead generation, that kind of thing. And so once we have that dialed in, it's a lot easier then for you to start preparing your slides because now you know what you're going to say. Okay, good. And you can do your slides or have a team member put your slides together or have AI there's all different ways that can happen. I'm not married to one way of that. Excuse me. And then I recommend practicing it with your slides versus your notes. Now you can still maybe have your notes in the slide section, but if you're going to be presenting with slides, that's how you want to practice. You want to practice doing that. I have a client right now who he kind of did a little backwards. He has his slides, but then he wrote his script separate because that's how he wanted to do it. That's not what I recommended, but that's how he wanted to do it. And now they're not matching. So that's what, like, no, we want to, it's all together. The whole thing is going to come together. So you want to get in the habit of practicing that together. Even if
Yeah.
you don't use your slides, it doesn't mean you have to use slides. But a lot of times people are going to expect that.
Yeah. The coordination between the two. I love that. It makes me think too, I think when it comes a little more naturally to us to be up there, it's easy to take for granted the skills that you actually have because it feels more effortless for
Yeah.
you.
And I had a client, before she was my client, I saw her give a talk and she completely forgot to advance her slides. And that indicated to me she never practiced it. I'm like, she's a very intelligent, confident woman and she had gorgeous slides that nobody saw. And we don't want that either. So it is a little bit of like, if you've never done it before, of course it's going to be a little awkward. So just get used to clicking the clicker and look at it. It's got a couple buttons. It's got two arrows and an on and off button. That's the main thing you need to know. How do you use it? How does it work? Get used to it. And that'll lower your nervous system reaction down a lot.
Yeah. I'm also thinking there are those moments that happen that maybe you haven't anticipated. I'm actually a
Always.
really good Girl Scout, and that preparedness, like I'm the one you want to come to when you forgot something because I probably have it in my purse. So I always think worst case scenarios, like what's the worst case scenarios for this event? And I sort of think, okay, what would I do if there's no power,
Yep.
the slideshow goes down, I don't have internet, et cetera,
All
et
these things
cetera.
that happened to me, those are real
It all
scenarios that
happens,
can
right?
absolutely happen.
And what am I going to do? And I think what you've talked about, that importance of really embodying what you are going to be speaking about. So it's really to me, and correct me if I'm wrong or if it is different for you, I like to feel like it's a conversation that I'm having with the audience versus me talking at them.
Yeah.
And so I'm looking to see the head nods. I'm looking to hear the mm-hmm or mm-mm, looking for body posturing and the way that they're communicating with me to tell me if we're on the same page with each other, right?
That is some cues for sure.
Mm.
And with virtual, you might not see that. Like you might be talking to a screen of black boxes. And so there is a letting go of relying on nonverbal cues that is challenging for some people because it's a little bit of a transition. You just have to like assume that they're there. And there's a little trick that I'll do is I will engage without needing anyone to respond and without needing any visible feedback, right? It might say, like, we've all been there, right? Like, you've had this situation where XYZ's happened and you were frustrated. I'm not even going to have you raise your hand, but I know we've been there, right? And so that would be like a little, it's just a little throwaway example of how I'm going to engage. And so you're in this with me, even if I can't see you or hear you. Your video's off, your sound is off. I don't know if you're there. But I have had people respond in the chat who were not on video, who I could not hear, who've become clients. And similarly, when I was in person speaking a lot, because I used to speak more in person before COVID, I used to think the person in front row who's like nodding and they're like, yeah, and they're raising their hand. I'm like, oh, okay, cool. This person's probably going to sign up for whatever the thing is I have. And they'd walk right out the door. Meanwhile, a person who never said a gosh darn word, way in the back, didn't even know they were there, comes up and hands me their credit card. I'm like, okay, I don't know. I just gave up. Like, I don't know who's picking up what I'm throwing down. And I don't actually care. Like, I can't put too much emphasis in that. I care that I'm delivering and that I'm giving my best. And then at one point I got to let go. And so whoever needed that, they're here. They'll
Hmm.
come. So it's an interesting balance.
Yeah, I like that. Those are some good tips because I think I've been there too with the video screens and it can feel a little awkward. Like, am I just talking to nobody right now?
Yeah, and I'm pretty funny in my presentations. I was
Mm.
just at a live event in Vegas and I was speaking to a live in-person audience and I'm making some, I think, fairly good joke. Oh no, this was in a different city. Sorry, it wasn't that one. It was a different I won't say the city. Anyway, and they're not laughing at all. And I'm like, and not that I'm expecting belly laughs, but usually I get some chuckles and I thought, "Oh, that's interesting." And I think I said out loud like, "Oh, maybe I'm not funny today," or something like that. And I just moved on because it doesn't matter. I don't need to get them to laugh. I know that I'm funny, and that's not the goal anyway, but it's okay. Like maybe they were just trying to really listen and grab everything I could. So it's about like don't make too many stories up in your mind about what they're thinking about. You actually don't know what they're thinking. And I think that's one of
Mm.
the biggest lessons I learned probably within my first 100 talks. I was like, "Oh, yeah, it doesn't matter if they like me or don't like me or like it's not about me." And I think that's kind of a hard lesson to learn. It sounds simple, sounds so easy.
Yeah. Well, and it cuts down on the overthinking, which distracts you from being present.
Exactly. So the more
Yeah.
you, yeah, I'll say I want any speaker who works with me to be able to give their talk in a box with a fox and a house with a mouse and a boat with a goat. Like I want you to just the lights go off, the projector blows up, the hard drive busts up, the clicker's broke, whatever you can deliver. And that's
Yeah.
that's what we want.
Okay. So 600, probably more than 600 speaking engagements at this point. So what is your number one tip for people to get consistently booked? How does that happen?
For me, it started when I first started. My first year speaking, I booked 83 speaking engagements, and I was doing a lot of cold reach out, right? So yeah, I had these great results, but that was really hard. In my opinion, I mean, hard is maybe not the right word. soul sucking is what I usually would call like cold reach out, especially for people who are heart centered, purpose driven. They want to make an impact. The last thing they want to do is like do this cold reach out and hear crickets. So I created a network, which is now called the International Speaker Network. And along the way, I developed a system that I call the Speaker Soulmate System. And when you're hanging around other speakers, you're going to increase your odds of finding your speaker soulmate. What is a speaker soulmate, you ask, Kelly? Well, let me tell you. A speaker soulmate is it's like a strategic referral partner. You know, we often have that in business where we find someone who we can refer back and forth to it. But in terms of speaking, that can be another way of looking at it. So you find someone who speaks at a similar frequency as you, someone you know, like, and trust, and maybe you develop that trust over time. It doesn't need to be instant, but it can be created really quickly. And then they speak to a similar audience, but not about the exact same thing you do. And it's not that you can't have a speaker soulmate who speaks about the same thing you do, but it just makes it easier to refer. Like if you're speaking an association in January and they need a speaker in February, they're probably not going to bring someone back who back to back who talks about the same thing. So it helps when you have a complementary topic or expertise. And when you develop this relationship, and I'm talking like maybe two, three people, five at the most, you can be booked for the rest of your career without that cold outreach. And I usually speak about 40 times a year and I do zero cold outreach.
Hmm. Okay.
The system. Yeah, so it works. Pandemic proof.
It's pandemic proof. Stamp.
I was a little worried at first. I was like, oh no. But
Oh
I'm like,
no.
oh, it was fine. Yeah.
Yeah. I honestly think I probably did more speaking than I typically do during the pandemic just because everything was virtual and I was home.
Yeah.
And it was
It worked fine.
easy to work around my work schedule, my home life, because it was all in one place.
Me too. Me too. I booked 50 speaking engagements April 2020 to December 2020.
Mm,
And for those first few like couple months, I would host the meeting. Honestly, there were a lot of people who didn't even have a Zoom account. And I thought, oh, I could
hmm.
do it. I knew how to, I was already coaching my clients on Zoom anyway, so that wasn't a big deal for me. But now I speak virtually all the time. I've spoken on all the continents except for Antarctica. You know, it's just been virtual.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. So, all right. So, say somebody is getting started. They have a passion for speaking, number one. They have a pretty clear sense of their topic and their audience. How do they get started if they're starting from like pretty much scratch? They have a desire, but they have no idea where to start.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of my clients come to me with that scenario. And typically then we'll run through the get your talk ready rock process because I have found that even if they have a topic in mind, it might not be the one that's going to get them the client. So we want to do like, well, what's really going on? So we want to start there. And best case scenario, you end up with two talks, which is super cool. Um, and then we figure out where is that ideal audience. I have found that most people who come to me don't know where they're going to speak. They're like, how do I find these unicorns? Like where are these unicorns hanging out in this field where there's speaking engagements? And so what we do is we figure out what is your ideal speaking engagement because everyone has a different makeup. I have a client who lives in the middle of nowhere. She's not going to go anywhere in person. She's really healing woo woo, works with very spiritual minded people. Her ideal speaking engagement is very different from my client who's from the East Coast, who is corporate background, high level corporate, executive coach, works with like real high achievers. He's gonna want to do those in person conferences, corporate luncheons, those kind of things. So it depends. It's everyone's different. Um, and then we also figure out how to monetize it. And then how do we get all the things in a row for them? For example, their speaker sheet, does anyone even know they're a speaker? Does their family know they're a speaker? Does their network even know? Usually, no, they don't. They don't even know. Is it on any of your social media? So we're trying to just lay the track so that you are known for and known as, and then that allows the referrals to start coming in. Oftentimes, people get asked to speak before we've even barely gotten started because there's this
Mm,
kind of portal that sort of opens up where you say like I'm ready to go, like okay, I've been talking about this or thinking about this in my mind for a long time, and now I'm serious. And so the universe is like, okay, cool. We're gonna have someone ask you to speak for them. And you're like, oh man, I
Oh,
gotta get my stuff
okay.
ready. It's serious now.
Oh, I love that. I love you put the little thought into the universe and then you're like, "Oh, now I really have to do this because I said I would and I wanted it. And now here it is." And I'm like, "Okay, let's go."
I had a
I
client call me. She had 3 speaking engagements booked within like the first 2 months of us working together. She already had the book when she hired me. She was like, I've got these big opportunities, but I don't want to blow it. Like, I want to make sure that
mm,
I've got it all dialed in because I want to take this really seriously. Yeah. So sometimes they're booked before they come to me, but oftentimes it's like I've been pushing them away. People have been asking me to speak, and I have kind of dodged their email and haven't really
hmm.
gotten back to them. And I know I need to get this taken care of.
Yeah. Can I bring up a controversial topic?
Do it.
Okay,
Let's
in the speaking world. Okay, so sometimes, like at least in my world, if you're going to speak to like a professional association, in most cases, like you might be lucky and you might get a discount rate, or you don't have to pay for like getting into the association meetings or whatever, or like it's all like free, right? But you don't necessarily get paid. And then of course there's speaking gigs that are paid, that they hire you, they pay you.
Yeah.
What about these speaking gigs where somebody is asking you to pay to speak?
Right. Yeah, there's the 3 of the main different ones that happen. So here's what I tell my clients. It depends. It depends
Mm-hmm.
on your strategy. The people I work with are entrepreneurs or business owners. So just like any other opportunity, we want to go, "Oh, this is interesting. It's coming across my plate here. Do I want to say yes? Do I want to say no? Does this make sense? Am I ready for this? Like, would this be a smart move regardless of how you're getting compensated? Because it's still going to be your time and it's still going to be your effort. So we want to really get dialed in on, is it the right opportunity for now? Is it the right opportunity for me? Is it the right opportunity for me to get clients and get business? Is that my goal? Right. So it's sometimes we just get yanked around a little bit. Like we're like, well, they said this, so then I guess I should go do it. Well, I don't know. Should you? Because I have clients who pay thousands of dollars to speak in front of the right audience because they know that they're going to make way more money than that.
Mm-hmm.
I have other clients who've done those kind of things in the past and really regretted it because they weren't ready and they thought, oh, this is going to be the opportunity of all opportunities. And the person promised me you're going to be with this. And they made it sound really amazing. And you're thinking, oh, I'm going to finally get to speak in front of all these people. This is going to be the answer to my prayers. Not necessarily. If you have never spoken before or you don't have a good track record and you have a low risk tolerance, don't do that, right? But so again, it just really depends. And my goal is that people who work with me that they become empowered with that knowledge for themselves. So it's like you know when to say yes, to say no. This is not a good fit for me. Thank you for asking. Or yes, I absolutely would love to do that. No problem. I'm there. And that goes for whether it's free, whether there's a minimal fee where you're getting paid, you're not getting paid, etc.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And I wonder too, are there some like standard approaches for vetting the situation that you're being invited
Oh
to?
yeah.
Like I can tell you
Yeah.
last year I got invited to like you've been selected from like a
Hmm.
chosen few to go and
Right.
speak at this conference in Paris and
Yeah.
and I was like this just feels way out there. I'm
Yeah.
like
Use your intuition.
yeah, I'm like
Use your noodle.
I am cool and I would love to go to Paris. And I think I would have really important things to say, but I'm not so sure that this
Hmm.
feels
Oh, I
correct.
get inundated with those kind of opportunities. So you have to have your BS meter like really on point. And that's there. Some organizations are really preying on a person who's like, well, I want to be an international speaker and I've never, this would be so important. This would be the best thing ever. And I've known people who've traveled all over the globe and spent so much money for that one speaking engagement. And I am here to tell you, we are not here for one speaking engagement. We are here for the long game, back to the, the long mile or whatever. You can use speaking as a way to get clients for the rest of your career. I have been, I've hundreds of times I've spoken, and I can say honestly, there's not one speaking engagement that like was the end all be all of all the speaking engagements. Okay. The key is the magic, and this sounds boring, but like our unsexy consistency. Keep showing up, and you'll always have that nice trickle of clients and leads coming in, and you won't need to be chasing clients, and you get to have fun while you're doing your sales and marketing. And that's the game that I'm playing, to be fair.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, how frequently do you find it makes sense to take the engagement and, you know, if it's the right people, it's fine. I don't need to get paid. And where do you draw the line and say, like, for this offering, it is worth something and I'm not doing it for free?
Yeah, I think it depends on the situation. Like if it's a, and this is, yeah, where you said, oh, how would you know? Um, I've been around enough to where I don't have to lift too heavy to know what's a right opportunity for me or not. Um, and I kind of run it through the resentment filter. And it's like, how resentful would I be if I said yes to this thing and nothing came of it? Or, like say like I go in, I do this thing for free, or I pay for this thing or whatever. And I'm in the room and I get zero clients. Like, am I going to be really upset or beat myself up, or like, how am I going to feel? And if it's like, oh, it could be the day of the week that they're at, like, oh, it's on a Saturday. I'm like, oh, I don't like speaking on Saturday. So it better be amazing if I'm going to be speaking on a Saturday, which I am actually speaking on a Saturday in April because it's run by a woman who I absolutely adore. I'm going to be surrounded by amazing women. And it's by the beach in Carlsbad. Yes, I will be there. Absolutely. So I will look at the reputation of the person, the organization. I'll ask, how did it go last year? How many people are you expecting? What's the promotion like? Those kind of questions. Am I able to give an offer? Um, so those are different questions that I would ask.
Yeah, I think those are some really good questions. Thank you for that.
Yeah.
Um, I would love to hear more about how people can work with you. And I think there's definitely going to be some listeners who are piqued interest. You've talked about a lot of client success stories and people that you're working with and the things that you offer. How do people connect with you? How do they work with you? What are some of those opportunities?
Well, because my name is spelled so funky, I'm not even going to expect you to remember that. So I'm going to give you another site that you can go to that's super easy to get more tips on how to get speaking gigs, and you can enter into my world. And that is available at getspeakinggigsnow.com/tips. So super easy. I think it'll be in the show notes too. So I'll say it one more time just in case you're like running to get a pen right now. Go get that pen. It's getspeakinggigsnow.com/tips, and that'll give you some more tips that we didn't get to cover today.
That's amazing. And who is your ideal client? Who do you really love to work with?
I love working with someone who's heart-centered, who isn't there for the fame and the glory, but more like, no, I have to share this message. Like, this is something that I need to get out to the world. Part of my mission is to raise the consciousness of our planet. And I believe that when we give our gifts to others, that helps that mission. So, um, usually my clients are in, 40s, 50s, 60s, but I've helped people in their 20s and their 70s and their 80s. So it's, doesn't quite matter what age you are. But the other important thing is that you have something to offer. A lot of times, like I have clients with service-based businesses, or if they get one client, it's going to be, worth a lot, or um, they sell something for $1,000 or up, something like that. And I don't mean you have to sell it from stage and all that. Don't overthink it, but just that you want to have some kind of pipeline that's easy to fill,
Hmm. I
and
think
it makes
that,
sense. Yeah.
yeah, that's such a great tip, because I think you had said earlier about the importance of kind of letting go of the outcome and really just kind of being present and in the moment and able to do that. But for people who selling what they do is really challenging, do you have any like quick tips for that?
Oh, that's challenging for most people. Like I've had doctors and lawyers as clients. Guess what they don't teach in law school or medical school? Sales and marketing. They don't
Mm-hmm.
teach that.
Mm-mm.
And so, excuse me. And so, what we want to do is really find a way to authentically invite someone to that next step so that you don't have any ick around that process, that you're really clear. I always say, I want you to be so madly in love with your offer, you want to marry it. Like it's just like, oh, I'm giving you this amazing gift. I would love for you to have it, if it suits you, and not force it. People are adults; they're gonna figure it out. If they want it, they'll get it. That's it. But you need to make it clear. Like this is what you
Mm-hmm.
need to do. Go to, getspeakinggigsnow.com/tips. Like go there right now. If I came to you and you asked me, oh, how would people get a hold of you? And I thought, oh, just find me on LinkedIn or find me somewhere. Like, no, that's a horrible call to action because not to say you can't find me on LinkedIn, but now you need to know how to spell my name. Now you need to pay attention,
Hmm.
and then what? Then you're going to find me on LinkedIn. Then what's going to happen? I don't like,
Mm-hmm.
so we want to have some things set in place that actually make sense.
Yeah, I totally agree because I've definitely been interested, seeing somebody speak, watched a live or whatever, and I'm like, I need to get into their sphere, right?
Same.
I
Yeah,
need,
they're
and then you try and you're like, I can't figure this out. Like it's just so convoluted, or you're scrolling and scrolling and scrolling, and where do I
Yeah, don't
go?
make it hard. Don't make it hard for people. Make it
And
super
I give
easy.
up.
Yeah, because you're busy and you're like,
Yeah.
oh, on to the next thing. We're so distracted right now. You got to make it so dang easy. Spoon feed and be clear, concise, done, to the point so people can move on with their lives.
Hmm.
Yeah.
I love that. So I think what's been really important to me, and I love that you said raising collective consciousness. I have the same feeling, the same mission. It's part of the reason that I don't choose to use my podcast as an income generator because it doesn't align with where I want to be and it doesn't feel right to me. This is really a platform, like you said, like where I help people share their gifts and connect people and raise that. Um, so, how then, if you want to pull somebody into another part of your universe, like what's a good way to pull them in? Is it good to say, like, schedule an appointment with me? Is it good to say, join my email list? Like, are all of these good ways to kind of pull people in?
Yeah, and it's all about creating that system. So when I help people get their ducks in a row, we're like, that's actually one of the very first conversations we're going to have is like, what is going to be the thing you want to do on stage? Like, how are people going to get into your orbit? And we might change that over time. I like to keep it simple, sweetheart. And I say, well, what could we do tomorrow? Like, don't get all overthinking it in your head about all the different bells and whistles you need. What could you implement tomorrow that would work? Or, within a week, let's just say, because I know entrepreneurs, we like to overthink things sometimes. So we'll start with that. And then that might change and evolve, depending on if they have team or how techy they are. Like I have one client, she's great with tech. Like she'll just pop in Canva, whip up something that looks amazing and set it up in Thrivecart and, skip along her merry way. I have another client who can barely use PowerPoint. It's like, and to move things around in Canva, you never even heard of Canva. It's like, okay, so we're gonna work with what you have. We're gonna make it simple, and we're gonna like, what can we do today? And then who do we need to bring in, or what other resources do we need to bring in to make it, beyond that? But yeah, it could be a phone call, it could be a freebie, it could be something. But if like you're never gonna email anyone, then we're probably not gonna like put that as a forefront of your funnel.
Totally, totally. I love that. I think the other thing that really struck me that you said is that piece of authenticity. And I know back in the day, I when I was getting my master's degree in communication, there was really a very specific look, feel, vibe for like almost like the choreography of if you are a professional speaker, this is how you move, this is how you speak. Can we let some of that go these days? Can
I
we
think
just
so.
kind of, yeah.
TikTok, I think, has like, I mean, this day and age, my daughter's 22, so she's total, Gen Zer. They don't have any of that, I don't know, indoctrination that we did
Mm. Hmm, hmm.
of like everything has to be perfect and you have to look great. I mean, they take so many pictures of themselves and go on lives and in their pajamas and whatever. I think it's kind of cool. Like, oh wow. I mean, I've never been on a live in my pajamas, but maybe I should. Maybe I should try it.
Just once.
Just, but they really are into that authenticity, and I think, oh, I like that. I like the borrowing from that instead of having like a script and a cue cards. And I can tell when someone's reading from their talk virtually. I'm like, this sounds way too perfect. They are reading their notes right now. They might be really good at reading their notes, but I can tell they're reading their notes.
Yeah. Yeah. I love that too. And I think I love the idea of just like learning from other generations that just like you said, they haven't
Yeah.
been indoctrinated. They haven't gone through the 80s and and like
Whole different world for
a
them.
whole different world for them. They're like, that's weird.
Like we didn't grow up with YouTube, like no internet,
No,
no YouTube. Like
no.
if you wanted to see a speaker, you would have to go in person.
Yes.
You weren't gonna like get a VHS tape of someone speaking necessarily. Not that you couldn't, but that wasn't really available. So it was just a different time.
Yeah. So what's next? What do you see as kind of like a future theme or would you like to envision for the public speaking world?
Oh, well, I mean, AI is right here with us. There's going to be
Mm,
a lot of cloning happening, which isn't a bad thing. It's just different. And so adapting to that, adjusting to that, and still um, circling back to what we were talking about earlier is that connection, connecting with people, engaging with people, feeling the feelings with people. And I think that's going to be like our new currency, this like human connection. Like, oh, you're a real human. I actually had someone ask me if I was real or if I was AI. I said, I am real. Yeah. But that will be a question that's going to be more common.
wow.
Hmm.
I love this conversation and it's making me think last week I was actually thinking to myself, um, how are people responding, like other than me, to the influence of AI? Like, I know there are people who are like completely anti against, there are people who use it for anything and everything. There's people kind of in the middle who are like, well, I'll use it for this, but not for that. But how transparent do you think it is if somebody is using AI to generate either the language that they're using on their slides, in their, what they post on social media? Like, how transparent do you think it is?
I think it depends on the person and
Mm-hmm.
how they've trained their AI. And I've seen people do it really well. Like, it looks so good and it feels right and it feels authentic and it feels on brand. And I think that's great. Where I think people are missing the boat is like one time I had a client who came to our Get Your Talk Ready to Rock session and she had 8 pages of notes that were just gobbledygook, in my opinion. It sounds all perfect, but that's not her. And we had to like just kind of, I said, let's put it in the parking lot and like tell me what you as a person, what do you really want to do? And then we can AIify it later, but let's get to the heart of the matter first because she's so unique and intelligent and driven and has this unique vision for how things should be. So it's like how we use it, just like anything. Like you can use a hammer, but you might have a bunch of holes in your wall.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I like that. You could use a hammer, but you might have a bunch of holes in the wall. Yeah, I think the piece that you said about training it is super important. And maybe also knowing the distinction between when it's sort of like there are things you can do with it that you really don't have the time or brain space to create. But when it's your authentic, like heart-led voice, if it's not starting there from you, it's probably never going to be able to, mimic or match who you are.
Yeah, and I think what's interesting, I mean, we'll have to revisit this topic in 10 years, but
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I've written my own books. I've written my own email campaigns. I've written my own courses, all without AI's help. All before, that was a thing. And so I know how to do that. And it is going to be interesting if you've never actually needed to do that, if you never needed to write or come up with your own ideas. I'm not sure how this next how this next couple of decades is going to go. We'll see.
I Yes, exactly. Sorry, the dreaded tickle.
Okay. Yeah, I'll keep talking. So, 'cause I know you're struggling. So, for example, like if you I don't know, I'm not going to blame anyone. If I never had to write my own papers or write my own book or write my own emails or write my own content, I don't know if I would have done that. Like there was no choice when it was me or that's it. But now, gosh, I just don't know. I can't even imagine what it's going to be like. But I guess we're going to find out.
We're going to find out. I love your perspective on this. I want to thank you so much, Leisa, because you're clearly such a highly skilled and passionate person on this topic. And, for the listener, I just want to encourage you to follow that link. We'll put it in the show notes. If you're looking for someone who is really going to support you through your public speaking journey, I really have to endorse Leisa because she's the real
Aw.
deal. I really feel like, I mean, you are such a wealth of knowledge, and I can feel from you being on the receiving end of your speaking today that you really do care about this and you do care about people. And there are so many people, women with amazing missions that may be feeling a little hesitant because this hasn't been their skill. And to know that there are people out there who are here to hold your hand through that process and really set you up to succeed in a huge way. Thank you so much.
Thanks for having me. I really enjoyed our conversation.
I did too. And I'll just tell you, like, one of my biggest fears, because it happened to me once, is like getting that tickle in your throat when you're trying to speak. And I'm grateful for Lisa, who totally knew, like, oh, don't worry about that. I understand that. I'll just keep going. I'll just keep going. So you can even survive through the tickle in your throat. So thank you so much. And I look forward to hearing more about your next 600 speaking gigs.
Thank you,
um,
Kelly. You're amazing.
oh, thank you so much. All right, everybody, enjoy. See you next time. Bye for now.